When steel talks, everybody listens.
We know from early on what you said, that you were born in Gonzales, essentially, and you grew up just a few hundred yards away from Desperadoes.
Yeah. And then I went back to Gonzales at about 4 or 5.
And you also spent some time with Bertie Marshall, literally in his laboratory, his living room, as you called it.
That's exactly right.
So we want to spend a few minutes talking about that interaction between yourself and Bertie Marshall, and also talk about your experience growing up away, or very close, I should say, to Desperadoes, and finally, let's talk about Rudolph Charles the Hammer. So you have a triple focus there.
Well, I'll start with Desperadoes, because I remember going to private school. Well, call it private school. It's kindergarten. You're 3 years old, and I remember the slate that you have to write on and all. And it was very close to near the Panyard on the hill, and so that was like, I didn't know it yet. When I knew it, and I processed it many years later, was when my father would be like Carnival Tuesday night, and I didn't know it was Carnival Tuesday night when I was 3 years old, right? But there are things in your life. People say, you remember that far back? Yeah, I remember using the slate for the first time. Mm-hmm. I was like 3 years old, and I remember my mother saying, be careful. Be careful. He's going to take a last jump. He didn't play math, but he's going to take a jump with Desperadoes. And I remember him going up to the hill, and she said, be careful. And I didn't know what that meant, what that was, Of course, be careful. Tokyo might be coming up the street and you're in the middle of this thing. So, which is why my father never wanted me to play pan. And I didn't know it at the time.
So yours was for a different reason.
Yeah.
He had no pan problem, but he was more concerned with your safety, depending on what transpired.
Oh, you will wait till you hear the story about him, but I'll go in chronological order. So we moved. My mother died. I was like, we were infants, and so my sister went one way, and my brother and I went with my father, and so we grew up together. My father, my brother, and me, and we cooked together. They say that we were very poor, living in a one-room thing, and then people will say, well, I was poor too. It's chic enough to say you're poor, Yeah, a guy just told me, I live around behind the bridge too. Yeah, so you ever lived near the Mang? What was the Mang, Which is where the Labas is, at the time. That's where you go and catch a crab, But anyway, so that was Success Village, and there was Bertie Marshall and you would be coming home from school, and you hear this pan ponging and ponging and ponging, and it wouldn't stop, and so we always know Bertie, right? So we know what he's the guy who's playing this pan, but we didn't know where he's going to take him, and then all of a sudden, the band, his little pan went to the band called Highlanders. But it was Kim Loy Wong Highlanders, and Kim Loy was in the United States, and so Bertie, I don't know if he got the pans from Kim Loy or whatever, but anyway, he was tuning his own drums, and they were playing Blackfeet Tribe, and I played mass with them, and that my father, even though he didn't want us to beat any pan, he would allow us to play mass. That was a part of the culture that he would want us to do. So and I remember Bertie calling me down in 1971, and he says, listen, I have a new pan, and I want you to take a listen to it. And I came down, and it was a bird phone, and I was amazed. It's the best pan ever made on earth. I don't care about the G pan and all this other pan, the ball pan, all these other names that I have. It's just, Bertie Marshall's bird phone was the best. To prove it, it was actually a double tenor, and he would have these attachments to each note, and they would all filter into a spring system, and then at his feet would be a pedal, a damper pedal, and then when he played the pan and he pressed the pedal, the pan would be amplified, and it was amplified, by the way. The note was just, he called it elongate, but he has his own language, But the note would carry on until you lift the pedal. lift your foot off the pedal and would stop, you know. And but it was the most it was so rich. So I when I was interviewing Bugsy about the Bertie Marshall story, which is the film I did in Trinidad, and Bugsy said, you know, I love that band. He used to call me too and say, come and play the band, come and play the band. And he said, you know, it was an interesting description. He said it was like a cross between a violin and an alto sax. And that I you know, when you say it, when Bugsy says that,
it's really impressive.
Yes. Because Bertie recognized that Bugsy was the guy in Trinidad, and if you didn't get the sanction from Bugsy, so Bugsy would be always in Bertie's house, and he said, and I said, well, I would like to get a double tenor, and he says, well, you have to play with Islanders. I said, no, I'm an all-stars guy, He said, you leave with Lamantine, you go down the town, and now you play with all-stars, and you know me playing, pounding out the metal out of the pan to get the best music in the land. I got it now. I got it now. And you wouldn't play with me, and you want a double tenor to take back to New York. And he says, you got to play with me. So I played with him, and there was the Ruiner All Stars that you couldn't play with any other band, and so I had to do it on the sly. And then the next year, he called me traitor, Yeah.
Everybody listen.